Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our 2025 NFL Draft recap show. Sorry we weren't able to go live that night. Just a lot going on, plus the hundreds of thousands of other people that were going at the same time too. Didn't want to flood the content too much in that area. Daren, Dillon, how you guys doing?
What's up? NFL Draft has turned into insane. My goodness, they got the mirrors that they get. They're doing it all over here tonight. They'll just, like me and my brother were joking this morning. You're fined $10,000. You're fined. Like the hugs,
Right.
the hugs. I always get a kick out of that. So, but good. I look forward to kind of getting your guys' thoughts on the draft a little bit here.
Same. It actually outviewed viewership more than the NBA Finals.
Not shocking.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean,
just round one of the.
It's
NFL
a monopoly.
draft.
NFL is a monopoly. It is. It's just the reality.
A sport that truly people, even though it has its differences, people truly care about it.
Yeah,
I mean, people are invested. Like they're invested in it.
Yeah. What was your overall thoughts, Dillon, of the NFL draft before we jump into things? Just it being in Green Bay, a very historic place for the NFL. Your so-called rival. I mean, every time the Chicago Bears name got mentioned, it was booed. What was your thoughts on the overall atmosphere, at least of the draft in Green Bay?
Yeah, listen. The Bears are always going to be booed in Green Bay. Okay, yeah. All right. Clay Matthews didn't have to do the Bears like that. He didn't have to come out there with a note.
That was great, though. It was hilarious.
It was great, but listen, you didn't have to do that, right? No, it was cool, man. It was cool that it was in Green Bay. I love that they just kind of do it all over the place, and they don't stick to one specific spot. I like that they do it everywhere. It was a really cool experience. There was some ups and downs. There were some people that fell. Some people that were taken early, some picks that you just kind of wondered what people were doing. But overall, I thought the atmosphere, I thought just the history of it, I thought everything was really cool to have it in Green Bay, as much as I hate that place. Yeah. It was just a really cool thing about the draft. Like I said, I think my favorite part of the whole thing is I think just every year I love that they just tend to have it somewhere else. It's not set in one area. So
yeah.
Where's it at next year? Do we know already? I gotta look that up as you're going, Brandon. I'll look that up as you go.
I don't know off the top of my head where it's at. Is it? I don't know where it's at next year. I imagine it's going to be. It'll be in some. I don't know. I'm not gonna guess because I don't know.
Pittsburgh. It's
Pittsburgh. Okay. All right.
That's pretty cool, man. Like I said, I like how they just let it go everywhere. Like that's pretty sweet, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Just it bouncing across all over the different cities, and you go from places like LA, and then next year it's in Kansas City. Year after that, it's Green Bay, and you're going to Pittsburgh. I mean, those are three of the I would consider smaller markets, even though Kansas City has been Super Bowl champions the past couple of years. Outside of Philadelphia, I mean, that's a small market team. Green Bay, I would consider a small market.
Oh yeah, they're never gonna host a Super Bowl.
No,
I mean, they're not,
unless you get a dome.
No, never.
They're not getting the Super Bowl. They're not getting one.
And then Pittsburgh's the same way. It's more of a small market type of team than it is like a LA or New York or anything like that. So I think it's cool. Darren, what do you think of the draft?
See, I always fight back when people say the Steelers are a small market. I just don't believe that. I mean, I get they're in Pittsburgh, but they're just they're not, and they're not the Pirates of baseball. They don't operate like that. You know what I mean?
True. That's fair. I mean, that's fair point.
It's just how I feel about the Steelers. Maybe it's because I've had to go against them a lot, and they win a lot, as it says. So for me, it's hard to be like small market with them. But I know kind of what I said. I thought I get a kick out of the glitz and glam now. Back it was just Saturday, first 3 rounds, Sunday last 4. So they've definitely made it just way more of a thing. Yeah. I don't know if why, but I noticed there's a lot of more late round trades. I'm not sure if that's because there's more time in the draft. I just noticed that's a big thing as well. But I was it was kind of a weird draft for me because there wasn't like a whole stack of blue chip prospects that sometimes the NFL draft has. And I thought that was my biggest takeaway from it was like, there's going to be some that turn out to be studs. I just don't know which ones they're going to be. I don't know. It was a weird draft for me in that regard. Like who the actual 5 best players are. It's like, I don't know. You can name a lot of guys, I feel like.
You could. I mean, you have obviously the big names where it was Travis Hunter. I think that's the biggest guy that has the most I would say talent across at least in the draft
No doubt.
coming into next year. Other than that, I mean, a lot of I feel like there's a lot of question marks around a lot of the guys, skill player wise, at least. In the draft this year, you talk about a guy like Cam Ward, who, I mean, we really don't know what he's going to be like in the NFL. Ashton Genty might be another one of those guys. He's either going to be really, really great, or he's not. It's going to be.
Well, he would be one of the blue chip guys to me. He seemed legit at his position.
Yeah.
That's where, like, I mean, like him and, like, I don't know, Dillon. Like, I thought Carter from Penn State was also a blue chip guy. Like, this is just me. That doesn't mean they're right.
Yeah, no,
but that's what I thought.
I feel like this draft was full of, like, a lot of people, like a lot of players who had, like, a lot of potential, but you didn't know exactly how they're going to turn out.
Yeah.
Like, you could see the potential in them, but college is so much different than the NFL. It's so much faster, so much quicker. Everybody's so much bigger. Like, a lot of players had potential, but I would have to agree with you, Daren. There's only a handful of guys that, like, I look at them and I'm like, yeah, okay, like, they're going to be like NFL stars. Like, they're probably going to be pretty good in the NFL. Yeah. And there are some guys who are like, they could be really, really good, or they could just have an awful career. So,
yeah, I think that line fits more where we're at with the quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah, like Cam Ward reminds me like he reminds me like a Jamarcus Russell, like all the talent in the world. He's not as lazy, like he's nowhere near as lazy, but like he has all the talent in the world. Yeah. I watched a video. They had Cam Ward against all the other quarterback prospects, like the Shedeur Sanders and the Tyler Scott, whatever his name is, Will Howard, all those guys. Mm-hmm. The amount of zip and his release was so much faster than anybody else. Yeah. Cam Ward just had so much more zip on his ball. His release was way faster. His accuracy was way better. But when I look at it, I'm like, dude, he kind of has that Jamarcus Russell vibe. Like, he kind of seems like he might be the guy that comes in there and just, like, thinks he can do it all and, like, without trying, and then just fails. That's kind of how Jamarcus Russell was. He just thought he had it all and then just didn't want to do anything. Yeah. I mean, this is the same guy who, in one of his last games, he did quit on his team, halfway through. He quit playing. So I don't know. Cam Ward has all the talent in the world. He's obviously the best. I think he's the best draft prospect of quarterbacks in the draft. He's one of those guys I'm just not 100% sure about. So
yeah,
that's probably the best way to describe him. I remember because I was out here in the Bay Area, watching the Cal game where he came back. They were down like 35-10, like something like that at halftime, and he was dominant in that game to finish it off. So he did, and he was anything. They didn't rush enough guys. He beat them with the arm. They backed up too many guys. He beat them with either runs or drop-offs. Like, and not saying Cal was unreal, but they did have a decent defense at that time of the year when they were playing. And he just controlled the second half. So he does have that potential. You're right for sure, but he doesn't have like a long history, even though, right? Like, it's not like this extensive history of like Cam Ward we've been hearing about for a couple of years. So I think that always makes it a little gun shy too. But I don't know. Those were kind of my initial thoughts with it. And obviously the Hunter, the Browns trading out of 2 was, I don't know. I get it. They got a lot of stuff for it. They ended up getting Sanders anyways, which I'm not saying they should have drafted him at 2, but I would have, I don't know. It's kind of maybe Hunter or Carter would have been my pick there if I were them.
Yeah, I think I would have went with Hunter if I was Cleveland. If I'd stuck with the 2, I was a little shocked when, I mean, I heard through the grapevines throughout the day that Cleveland was looking to move out of the 2 spot. Like, they didn't see anybody they wanted at that spot, which was kind of surprising. Why
would they want to pair up Carter with Garrett or like,
I don't know,
or Hunter to add to that? Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me from their standpoint. Like, who did they end up with? They end up with Mason Graham too. I mean, he might be a stud, and if he can make, maybe he's Carter from the Eagles in his first couple of years, but I don't know, man. The fact that I don't know. I guess maybe I'm believing too much in Carter at the defensive end spot.
I don't think you are. I think he defensive end wise, I think he has the most ability to be a superstar in the league.
I just don't think the Browns knew what they were doing.
No, man. What the heck?
I mean, I really don't. I mean, you drafted Dillon Gabriel and then you drafted Shedeur Sanders. And then
you have 5 QBs right now.
And no offense, and then their GM came on or whoever it was, and it said like they believe in drafting the best player, like first. So, but you drafted Dillon Gabriel before Shadur Sanders. I think Shadur Sanders is a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel, talent wise. I think Travis Hunter is probably the better talent of all of them. So, your reasoning's not making sense when you say it like that because you passed up on Travis Hunter. You know, you traded out from Travis Hunter, and then you draft Dillon Gabriel before Shadur Sanders, and then you end up drafting Shadur Sanders anyways. And now you have Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Shadur Sanders. I feel like you wasted 2 draft picks.
Yeah,
and you got 2. I mean, you know, unless you plan on trading one of those away to somebody, but I felt that was just a waste of a draft pick.
It didn't make any. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like if you're gonna draft guys who are gonna make a difference on your team, don't draft 2 quarterbacks.
They should have took Travis Hunter. They're not a very good team. They need all the help they can get.
Do you think they outsmarted themselves a little bit? We're gonna do this, and it's like this. It's like if they would have just got Hunter. I mean, maybe you get Sanders in the second round. Even if that was, I know he went the 5th, but my point is, you would have had him. You could have got him late too.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. I think that, and like I said, Graham could turn out to be what they need to go with. You know, obviously you need defensive tackles too, and you have a great defensive end. But I don't know. Hunter seems like a game changer. And that's what you need. And the Browns can't develop a quarterback if their life depended on it. Yeah. So the fact that they took 2 more is kind of funny. Like you said, that's a waste of a pick. Yeah. Passing on Hunter, they might come back to regret that here.
Yeah, I don't think their defense was that bad, to be honest. It wasn't like the best out there, but I don't think it needed. I mean, I think your offense needs a whole lot more work than your defense does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact you would have got a defensive player and an offensive player with Hunter. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to be a stud doing that because it's not the easiest thing in the world to do at any level to play both ways. But that you're going to get a defensive guy and an offensive guy that could have made a huge difference for your team.
Do you think the Browns were telling him though, Brandon, that he had to play one side?
That possibly.
That's all
I don't see them doing that.
Well, I just heard something come out where like he wanted to play both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, maybe the Browns didn't want that. I don't know. That's the only thing I can kind of think of.
Well, that's what he said though. That's Travis Hunter did say that. He said like he would actually his exact words were like he wouldn't play for a team or in the NFL if a team wouldn't let him play both sides. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, I'm like, listen, dude, one, you're lying. Someone offers you like $200 million. You're shutting up and playing. You're playing cornerback. You're playing wide receiver. Yeah, you're not passing up on that money. It's not ever happening.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you're Travis Hunter, like you got drafted by the Jags, who are an awful team. That's not a terrible team to go to, right? I mean, you make them better by being there. But if you're trying to be a great cornerback or a great wide receiver, right? Whatever you're going to stick with, do you really want to play both? Like he's not going to his body. I don't think someone's body could hold up playing every game, both sides of the ball. I don't think that can happen. No, you might be able to do it for, let's say he's a phenomenal talent, right? Let's just say he's one of the greatest talents we've ever seen. I'll be modest and give him 5 years. Like after a 5-year career, like what's your body going to be like if you play both sides of the ball? Like, are you going to be able to do anything? Are you going to be, a top tier player at all? Can you even play one side of the ball after that point in time? I don't think it's believable. I don't think it's possible.
I think it'll be like the Dion thing, how he did it.
Yeah. You think so?
Yeah. Like, he didn't play it all the time, but he returned kicks quite a bit. And then he did it. He with Dallas, especially more, he played maybe 5 possessions a game on offense. I could see him getting 10 early. It doesn't mean he's used every time though.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. How many years do you think, if he plays both sides of the ball every game, how many years do you think he actually plays in the NFL?
Well, I think what Daren said, like how many times does he play the defensive side of the ball? I think that's the big thing, right? I would say they're going to use him as a wide receiver more than right. That's going to be his thing.
Yeah.
But like Darren's, I mean, how many times are they going to use him? Like Daren said, like, is it going to be like a Dion thing where they use him like 10 times, or are you going to play all game long? Like, are you going to get a break? Like,
I mean, was he the greatest conditioned athlete of all time? Like, I don't buy it. Especially receiver. Sometimes you're just running routes to run routes.
Well, you're the number one guy. I mean, you're the number one guy now as the wide receiver on in Jacksonville. Like, you're the guy.
I think it's gonna be sporadic, right? Like maybe final drive But even then, that's a lot of pressure just to come into the end of the game when you haven't been like really. I mean, I don't know. That's a lot. It's a lot to take on mentally too.
Yeah, if you're not in the game, you're coming on and off so much. I mean, the thing I already saw today, he's going to have 2 different jersey numbers, 21 and 12, and he's going to wear 21 on offense and 12 on defense, or the opposite, and he's going to rotate like literally in between each series. He's going to
Is that legal?
switch his jersey out. I don't know. That's just what I saw. I don't know
how is that possible.
That can't even be legal.
There's no way. I mean, there's no way.
I mean, I thought you could change. You could wear the same number as long as it's not 2 numbers on the offense. Like the same number can't be on the offensive side of the ball. It can be on an you know, you can have,
if you have your roster, you can have 2 different numbers. That's a little.
Yeah. Well, you can. I always thought like you could have the same number on defense as a guy on offense as long as they don't both play offense. You know what I mean? Like you can't have 2 11s on the offensive side of the ball. You can have an 11 on offense and 11 on defense, but not 2 on.
I just didn't know that player could switch.
If I was a bet man, I would have to put all my money on exactly what Daren said. I think he only plays a handful of possessions. On the defensive side of the game.
Right.
You know, there's no way that they can let him play every game. There's just it's impossible. I hate saying the word impossible because I feel like anyone can do anything, but I just feel like this is one of those things. There's no way, dude. It's just there's no way. You can't go out and play. I mean, what if you're on the field for like, you know, what if it's like a 15-minute drive, 12-minute drive, and you're out there on offense all game, and then you immediately switch over and go play defense? There's no way, dude. Yeah. You'd be exhausted.
Shohei Ohtani of NFL, basically.
I don't even know why people like how you can sit there and be like, oh, he's a Shohei Ohtani. Like it's the same thing. Like it's not though. It's baseball and football are 2 completely different things. Yeah. There's so much more extra downtime in especially with Ohtani, like where he plays. Like he's majority of the time, there's not that much that happens in where he plays.
No, football's a total different sport.
Yeah. Jump over. Let's talk. What kind of impact do you think Cam Ward's going to make on the Titans, Darren? Do you think it's going to be a positive impact right away? Do you think it's going to be a kind of a growing pain? I mean, they don't have a whole bunch. They got, Tony Pollard, Tyjair Spears, the running backs. I forgot who the wide receivers are. But I mean,
I think they're in a tough spot. I mean, Ward, he's going to, they have Tyler Lockett. That was one of their main guys they got this offseason. But
yeah, I did see that the other day. Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, an old friend there. But to go back to your question there, I think Ward, he gets them on track. I think there's a chance that he gets to like 7 wins this year, which would be a good season for them.
Right.
But, like he said, he doesn't have the greatest weapons on earth. And so I think there's a chance that this year's a struggle for him. I don't think it's going to be a Bryce Young type struggle. I think he's better than that early on. So I would project 6-7 wins, and I think he has a good year as a rookie. That would be where I would lean. I don't, like I said, I'm not there. I'm not gonna go out. He's gonna be Stroud, and that would really surprise me if they made the playoffs or something like that.
Right.
But I mean, that would be immediate rookie of the year status. Possibly MVP talk if you're getting the Titans there from it. But I don't know. I just think I could see him. He's gonna raise their level of play for sure.
Yeah, it'll be. So I was looking at the opponents for Tennessee. David, thanks for tuning in with us. I appreciate it. Looking at the Tennessee Titans opponents, so at home they have Houston. Obviously their division team. So Houston, Indianapolis, Jacksonville. Then they have the Chargers, Kansas City, New England, LA, the Rams. So both LA teams, New Orleans and Seattle at home. And on away you have Houston, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Arizona, Denver, Cleveland, San Francisco, and the Raiders.
So they play the AFC West in that.
Yeah. AFC West and the NFC West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough schedule for them.
A little bit of a tough one. Dillon, what do you think?
I mean, he's definitely the most NFL-ready quarterback, out of the draft. He just has, like Daren said, he just has all the components. He has zip, the dude can throw. When he's in the moment, like the Cal game, like the dude can play. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver core is not the best. I mean, you got Calvin Ridley, who's hit or miss. You just got Tyler Lockett. You got Treylon Burks. I don't know. I'm going to have to agree with Daren. I think 6 wins, that's probably where I'd probably put him.
Yeah.
Anything over that, dude, I mean, you're talking like rookie of the year, like winner. Like if you can get him up there, if you can pull out some wins, I mean, if he turns out to be what he's supposed to be, they made a really. I mean, that was the right pick for them because he has all the potential of being a superstar. So,
would you rather have Caleb Williams or Cam Ward as your one pick?
Oh my God.
I feel like they're both in the same category.
That's what I kind of thought about that.
Because Caleb Williams had a decent year for having one of the worst O-lines I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he was sacked. Caleb Williams
was an emotional wreck on the sideline, though.
He was sacked 69 times, which put him like 4th on the all-time NFL list to be like sacked in NFL history, to be sacked in a single year. It put him like 4th on the list at 69 times in a single season. And he still threw for 3,500 yards, had 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He broke a bunch of Bears records. So I mean, he did better than what I thought. But I don't know. I would need to see how Cam Ward plays the first year. But I would say they're both in this. I think he's going to have a very similar year to Caleb Williams' first year. Yeah. I think he probably throws for over 3,000. I think he has a decent year, dude. I really do. Yeah. I think Cam Ward probably has a decent year.
Yeah, this is There's a Williams has the best group of tight ends and wide receivers in the NFL. That's a fair point.
It's debatable. It's definitely one of the best.
Okay.
One
of the best
in the NFL.
Well, Cam Ward is a better quarterback, though.
All right.
I'm not going to say no because I think Cam Ward has all the potential that Cam Williams has. 100%. The dude has all the arm power in the universe. He really does. Like I said, when I watched that video, his release time and the zip on the ball when you heard it hit the receiver's hands and that little practice he was doing. Yeah. I mean, it sounded like someone was slinging a sledgehammer at concrete, dude. He was definitely slinging it.
Yeah. I think I don't see it being like a Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix type of deal. I don't see the Titans being like that. Just with the schedule that they have. But then again, I honestly didn't think the Commanders were going to be as solid of a team as they were.
NFC Championship?
Yeah. No, I didn't think Bo Nix was going to play that good. No, because the Broncos, their offense is just not that great. I didn't think it was that great, and he did phenomenal, I thought.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So I don't see the Titans being like super studs or anything like that. I think 5 to 8 wins is probably manageable with that team and with the teams they have. And you don't know what you're going to get in Seattle. You don't know what you're going to get in Vegas, to be honest, Darren. I mean, you can't.
Oh, God, yeah.
You don't know what you're going to mean. The Chargers, you don't know what you're going to get in the Chargers year in and year out. They should be.
But those divisions are some of the best coached. They're like some of the. That's what you're going to deal with. Probably good squads. That's the thing. They're going to the AFC West might have the best coaches in the whole time.
Oh yeah,
and NFC West has some good coaches too. And so that's what you're just going to get quality opponents. But you're right. Depends where you always. And then if it always depends when you catch teams for sure.
Yeah, exactly. You get them early on in the season when they're still trying to gel or anything like that. You can get them late in the year when they have their third string quarterback in because they're the 2 guys that got hurt, just things like that. You never know.
That's why betting week 1 is the best. That's when you get the best.
I was going to pull up. We've already talked about Travis Hunter at Jacksonville, but how surprised were you that Jacksonville made this jump? I mean, they traded a lot. I can pull it up here. They traded quite a bit for this second overall spot. What were you surprised that they made this trade?
No, they need to do something.
Yeah,
their stadium has never sold out that often. They need superstars. They need Heisman winners. Lawrence is he's getting out a lot from a lot of people now, right? Like that, so get that man help. And like we said, we think Hunter's a blue chip guy. So you get him, maybe he does, and he's definitely going to add that flair to your team where that national flair a little bit possibly. So they did give up a lot. They gave up a first round pick last year for next year too, but and for receivers, that's not always the best move, but for somebody like Jacksonville, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is that bad of a QB. I really don't. I think he's a pretty decent guy, especially, he's never had like the best help in the world, but I think if you get him some help like they just did, I think he's going to show his full potential, and they needed all that help. They needed every bit of it. So, and like Darren said, they needed superstars. They're having a hard time selling tickets. No one wants to watch a terrible team play. Trust me, I've been there for my whole life. So, I mean, you need something. You need somebody. You need that spark that could potentially set you off. And I think they got that in Travis Hunter. I know they gave up a lot for him, and it might not have been the best thing, but if it plays out, well, then it's 100% the right move without a doubt.
Right. Yeah, they gave up so the number 5 pick, the second pick, so number 36, in the 4th round selections is number 126, and then the 2026 first round pick, which could be, it's a giant question mark where that could be. It could be a top 5 pick again. It could be in the middle of the pack, or it could be,
they're desperate
29, 30.
That was a desperate move by probably by a GM, by a coach, that they need to move.
Yeah.
I mean, they just came. They've had some awful years since that little run they had a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I know they made it to the playoffs, but they were like, what was it? And the year before that, it wasn't last year. The year before that,
Yeah,
they like went on a 5-game losing streak to end the year and missed the playoffs. Like, when you have that type of negative energy, and then you come off a season where you were pretty crappy as well, you get desperate, and that's what this was.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at. I mean, I don't want to say, but the GM, I think, is the youngest GM in NFL history too.
Playing Madden franchise mode. Madden.
Literally. David again here. Thanks for chiming in again. Jacksonville is the weirdest NFL franchise by far. It wasn't a move that makes that long term makes a lot of sense. They still need many weapons, and I feel like they gave up a lot.
Yeah, no, that's true. But it could make a lot of sense long term if he does turn out to be like a superstar on both sides of the ball. Like, let's say he just is great as a cornerback and wide receiver. Like, even if you only put him in for 10 or 15 plays a game on the cornerback position. Let's say he just is like, let's just say he makes a huge impact on those 10 or 15 plays. Like, it could be a very well long-term move, but that's the thing though. It's like, it's a huge question mark. Like, he's probably going to be a good wide receiver, but like, you don't know, what else he's going to have to offer on the other side of the ball if you even let him play that much. So,
and who else were they going to take, right? If they stayed at 5, it was going to be Mason Graham, which is not like it's not moving the needle that much, right? Like, and it's just not one. Or they're taking the running back, and they've been taking a lot of running backs. They don't need a running back anymore. They have guys that they took the guy to Clemson a few years ago. Like, that would feel like a waste. Like, they were kind of stuck. I felt like a little bit. Like, this felt like they had to do something. Hunter was the guy they needed, and I felt like they got him, and so they had to pay a first-round pick.
There was nobody else. Nobody else.
No. David, we talked about it earlier on when the kind of more the start of the show. Is could he do one game? He asked him, could he do one game at cornerback and one at wide receiver the next? From the sounds of it, he's going to do both during the game. He's going to play wide receiver for a little bit. He's going to play cornerback as well, and that's just what I've seen so far. That he's going to play both sides of the ball in the same game.
And I don't think he could do. I don't think that would sit well either. Like, if you just like let him play wide receiver like the first week, and the next week you didn't let him play wide receiver at all and play cornerback. Yeah. I don't think that would. The fan base, I don't think, would like that. Like, he's a good wide receiver. He's probably one of the best wide receivers in the draft, if not the best. Like,
my fantasy team. What are you doing to my fantasy team?
That's the position that he needs to be a star at. I think that's what he's gonna have to be. The main focus on is that wide receiver position.
Right. Daren, I know you just mentioned fantasy football a little bit. So Sleeper came out and tried to they categorized how he was going to do things. So if your league has an individual defensive player, he's going to be scored as an individual defensive player and an offensive guy.
Okay.
But if you don't have an individual defensive player, then you only get the score from being on offense.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, makes sense.
I'll be interesting where he goes. Fantasy.
So you're going to see a lot of people add individual defensive players to the leagues, I imagine, for
that reason.
Particular reason.
That makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. So he's getting the Ohtani treatment. Okay. Yeah.
Basically,
to a point.
What was his other comment there? My counter is to Graham.
I got it. Yeah. Counter is that Graham is a player who lasts long term and is one less position they have to worry about. But that's my untrained mind have an opinion, and thankfully I'm not a.
We can agree on the bottom.
Yeah.
I would say thankful I'm not either, but I'm.
Yeah, I know. Me and you are not fans of
same boat, dude.
I see the point here because you have a quarterback who. In Trevor Lawrence, who has shown that he can be a good quarterback in the NFL. He's taking you to. Did they went to the AFC Championship game a couple years ago? Didn't they?
Yeah.
So you have a quarterback who,
well, not a couple years ago, but yeah,
it's been what 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Brady was still a Patriot, I think, during that time. But still, I mean, you think you have a quarterback that can be a good NFL quarterback. Is just you're not going to build an offensive line around him. You see it time and time again in the NFL. If you don't have an offensive line, you see it in the UFL. If you don't have an offensive line, you're not going to get much offensive production because your quarterback's going to be scrambling a lot. He already had that nasty hit last year in the Houston game. So you're going to keep taking that risk of, okay, yeah, you got a guy who can play both sides of the ball, but are you going to protect your quarterback who needs to get him the ball? Like, what are you doing there? I know Mason Graham's a defensive guy, but still, you look at all the line guys. There were several offensive line guys that were taken within the first 10 picks of the draft too.
No doubt.
So I don't know. Just kind of one of those things. Just for those who are NBA fans, the Lakers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves again, 116-113. So check out the Fast Break tonight, playoff recap, part 3. We'll shoot the rock. He'll be on later on. Let's talk about this for a little bit. The big interesting one. Mel Kiper had an absolute just tear. Thought he was going to fall off the stage because he wasn't picked second overall. Shedeur Sanders falls to round 5 to the Cleveland Browns. We kind of talked about that one a little bit, not in too much detail, a whole bunch. But what do you think is happened here, Dillon?
I was having a meltdown. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah. I've been a Shedeur Sanders fan. The kid has all the talent in the world. I mean, if you look what he did in college, I only played 2 years. Colorado was an awful team. They were just not good. Their defense was subpar. Basically, no offensive line and zero run game. The only reason they won any amount of games is because of him, Horn, and Travis Hunter. That was literally the reason why they won games. Yeah. I don't think he deserved to fall to round 5. I'm not going to say it was a conspiracy or there was anything falling around him. I just don't. I think, like I told you, Seth, when we were talking about the other day, I think he's a product of his dad, right? His dad's super cocky. I think Shedeur is super cocky. I don't think teams necessarily like that. I think from what I heard, he kind of didn't do well on his in-person interviews with some certain things as far as like football talk. But I mean, the same thing. I just compared to CJ Stroud. A lot of teams passed on him because they said that he didn't have good in-person interviews and he couldn't read like some of these defenses and couldn't do checkdowns. And then now look at him. He's a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. I thought there was teams that definitely could have used him. I think he has all the talent in the world. I think as long as his attitude doesn't reflect his leadership, I think he could be great. I just think a lot of teams passed on him because of those handful of things. There might have been more to it. I'm not going to crucify these teams and saying that they made the wrong decision. I just think that there are some teams that definitely need a quarterback. I'm going to name one at 21. The Steelers 100% could have used a quarterback. I know Mike Tomlin liked Shedeur Sanders. I don't know what the reasoning was of not taking him or just another quarterback in general. So now you're stuck with Mason Rudolph as of now, which I don't think is the right play at all. I don't think he deserved to fall to round 5. That's what I'm getting to. I think I'm not saying he needed to be a round 1 pick. Right. I think there's plenty of other players that could have been that were drafted in round 1 over him, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, but I think round 5 is. I don't think that was right.
Yeah.
The only thing is, there's not that many teams that needed a quarterback.
It really wasn't.
And I think that not saying the Giants, right? They took Dart. They could have used one. There was a handful, right? We had the Giants, we had the Browns, we had the Raiders. I think could have been in that conversation.
And the Giants still have Russell Wilson.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like the Steelers obviously were in that conversation too. So there was like a limited amount of teams that like really needed a quarterback, and he wasn't the Tebow effect in that sense, but like when you have a high profile backup, it's not always what coaches desire. And I do think that did play a little bit of a factor in this, whether teams want to admit it or not. I think that's part of the reason like guys like Gabriel were drafted ahead of him, even if it was by the Browns in their own move. But I that's the reason I think he fell. And he obviously did terrible in pre-draft stuff. I mean, like there's like that is a big part of it. If you're not a team player, you come across as somebody that, and like I know he's like, well, he's it's because of this reason, that reason. All these guys want to win. So if they thought he would win for him, they would take him. They do that with all these guys. So especially a quarterback. So I think that's crap about these excuses. Like people are saying, like, oh, it's because he's brash and all that. It's like, no, that's not what it is. That's not the reason he fell. There was other reasons that were deeper than that. So I was really surprised he got out of the second. That was my biggest shocker. So a fifth rounder. I mean, when we see guys like, what was it, McCarthy draft last year in the top 10 or like, that's to me, like, I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty massive drop for a guy that at the beginning of the Heisman or beginning of the college year was probably thought to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I was shocked that they waited till round 5 to, especially with a team that we all kind of figured was going to end up drafting a quarterback anyways. They ended up drafting 2 of them.
Yeah.
Dillon Gabriel earlier in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
3. Yeah.
Round 3. Yeah. It's all blends together at some point in time with
Pretty
it. But, it didn't make it really didn't make any sense why he did fall off. I mean, why it fell so hard. I mean, we've seen it before. We saw it with Lamar Jackson was another one that, was a very touted, quarterback prospect coming into the draft, and he fell off, later on in the draft as well. And he just happened to land in Baltimore.
But he didn't go as early. Round pick.
Yeah. He didn't go as early though, as people I think expected is what I mean.
Yeah. What was he? I think he was the last pick in the first round that year, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Right. No, I think Sanders had way more red flags than that, and I don't think his play was nearly as good as Lamar's was in college.
No,
I mean, you know what I mean. He wasn't up for like.
No,
Lamar was explosive. He was a different type of player, but people were afraid he couldn't throw, which some people would argue he's still having trouble. But I think Sanders, the 5th round's a little insane, but maybe the first round was a little too high, obviously too.
Yeah,
especially once the Steelers passed on him.
Once the Steelers passed on in round 1, it kind of was like, okay, like nobody else. You look at the rest of the teams in the draft, I was like, maybe the Rams. Maybe the Rams might have taken a shot. Too, but other than that, there wasn't anybody left after Pittsburgh that's like, no, they don't need a quarterback. They don't need a quarterback. Kansas City, Philadelphia, Minnesota. I mean, maybe Minnesota, just because you have question marks around, and I wouldn't say there's question marks around McCarthy, but there kind of is.
It just would have been basically calling themselves out for a bad pick if they would have took Sanders.
100%.
Kind of like the Browns did with Gabriel, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you look at the quarterback room now. You have you have Deshaun Watson. You have Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
I was getting there. You beat me to the punch. You have gosh dang it, who else was it?
You have Kenny Pickett,
Dillon Gabriel, and now Shadur Sanders. So, there, I brought this up to, or I think it was between me, Dylan, and Jordan. I was like, so what's the chance? Like, what's the chances the Cleveland Browns decide to just be like, sorry, Deshaun, like, we're done. See you later. Like, release.
That should be the move.
It should be the move.
No,
fire him. Fire him.
Yeah. Well, I think it is going to be. I mean, listen. Yeah. All the controversy around his name, right? You paid him $260 million guaranteed. Like, you gave him all the money up front. Like, you've already made the bad mistake, right? I get why you signed him, right? When he played in Houston, all the talent in the freaking universe. Like, all the talent in the universe.
Yeah.
Right? He's went downhill, and now he had a huge, huge major injury towards Achilles. Like, I don't think he's the type of Aaron Rodgers type player to come back and be normal from that. He wasn't normal when he came to Cleveland anyways. I don't think his play elevates at all. I think you just do the right thing for your franchise, like one of the only right things that you're ever going to do. And I think you just cut ties with him, right? I don't think Kenny Pickett's the play. I do not think Kenny Pickett is the quarterback that you need. So I think basically you have Dillon Gabriel and Shadur Sanders to choose from. Like that's one of those is going to be your guys. I don't think Kenny Pickett's the dude whatsoever.
No, but he's a good spacer quarterback in between the Deshaun Watson era and your next era.
He is. I think it's between your last 2 picks. Like that is like that is going to be your starter. One of those is going to be your starter.
Mhm.
But
Better be. What a waste of picks. What a waste, especially quarterback.
I mean, Lord have mercy. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, you could have just took one and just stuck with it and be like, this is it. This is the guy.
Right. Yeah. David, I was kind of looking at some of they didn't have a whole bunch of
I like the Cardinals. Cardinals' second favorite team here. We got like the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I was watching them. We got
They picked a defensive tackle from Ole Miss, Walter Nolan. He had 6.5 sacks last year at Ole Miss, which was tied for third among defensive tackles, 12 tackles for loss at defensive tackles, which was second in FBS. 32 tackles within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, might be a nice little pickup for Arizona. Second round, they picked Will Johnson out of, from Michigan, cornerback. Dylan, you know him very well.
that was the steal.
It was. It really was.
Yeah.
That's why their draft was good. They got a
lot of defensive guys. Another defensive tackle, Jordan Bush out of Oregon, or Birch out of Oregon, Cody Simon, linebacker, Ohio State, Denzel Burke, cornerback, Ohio State. The 6th round offensive guard, Texas, and Hayden Connor, and then a safety from Nevada in Kitten Crawford. So a lot of defensive guys for Arizona.
They needed it. Their defense needed it.
Yeah.
I don't think their offense is that bad.
The draft was all Will Johnson. That's what the grade is on.
100%.
I mean, he was a top 15 prospect by a lot of people.
100%.
And because of injury, he ends up like, what was he, 45 overall? What was it?
47.
47 overall. I mean, it's a cornerback, so you don't know. But, I mean, based on where people had him graded to where he landed, and no, like, just because of medical issues, which is fine, but you get him in the second round. Right. I mean, and you get a defensive tackle that's pretty good at Ole Miss, then I'd say you did okay, even if people, whatever, with the last round picks, it kind of is what it is sometimes. So I don't know. Yeah. He's not a blue chip guy, but I would say he has the potential to be pretty good.
100%. I think your defense is set, to be honest. Yeah. I think if all those guys, if those guys show up to their potential, I think your defense is pretty solid, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Even the linebackers, kind of looking at the few stats that are here on this little snippet, he had 112 tackles in 2024 and was one of 4 players in FBS to have at least 100 tackles and 7 sacks. So, I mean,
they got some guys that were ranked pretty good that fell late. Like I always like that when you have like a consensus of people that have these like good grades on them, but they slip and you get them. It doesn't mean they're going to be stars, but they're going to be good. I always think of guys like Daryl Dockett or stuff like that fell, where you're like, they played in the year for 12 years and they were beasts. Like, it happens all the time. So I expect that. I thought the Steelers got one of those guys. What was the guy in the championship game that made the big play for Ohio State?
Jack Sawyer.
And they get him in the 4th round or something.
I thought he was. My buddy is a huge Steelers fan, and I thought both their Ohio State picks were good. I thought Will Howard that late I thought was a pretty decent pick. If he's trained the right way, if he can sit and just learn for a couple years, I thought he might be a decent quarterback. And I thought Sawyer, I thought that was a great pick. I thought he's a great linebacker. So I think that was a steal, especially on a solid defensive team like Pittsburgh. They always got good defense. I thought that was a good pick for them.
If they take a linebacker, I kind of just always think it's good anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
That is true. That's fair. Let me add this little banner here. I forgot to add to it, but I'll bring up the question while I'm typing it up here. Which quarterback that was drafted has the, I guess, best chance to start week 1?
Cam Ward.
Outside of Cam Ward, obviously, because we know Cam Ward's going to start week 1.
I'm gonna say
between Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, or I don't want to say Quentin Ewers because I don't think he has I don't know. Just between some of the later guys who were picked, which one?
I'm gonna say probably. It's hard to determine which one between Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders. Because they could go Kenny Pickett. The Steelers could just say Kenny Pickett. I'm gonna say Will Howard probably has the best chance behind Cam Ward to start. I mean, he's got to. He's got to go up. He's got to go up against. He's got to go up against Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Like if he can just show any sort of potential, I think the Steelers might be just better off going with him.
Yeah.
It's just hard for me to say between Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders which one is going to start. Because like I said, they could just go Kenny Pickett. So I don't know. I think Will Howard probably has the best chance to start out of Cam Ward, but I mean, never say never to anybody. I mean, the Saints got Tyler. What's his name? Can't think of his last name.
From Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Carr has not played that well either. So I mean,
well, he might be out the whole season.
Yeah, he might still be out the whole season.
And I don't think Rattler is probably your go-to guy either. No. So,
but he'd probably be the starter week 1. I'd imagine Rattler would get the start, unless it's gosh dang, who else did they? They have somebody else too. I think
it's the guy the Saints drafted.
Yeah, I think the guy last year that they drafted. I don't know.
I think it's Carr. I think if Carr's out, the Saints are in kind of like the Steelers are in a desperate, especially if the Steelers don't get Rodgers. I mean, I think the Saints are. I would also say obviously Sanders or Gabriel have a great chance too because of that situation. But I could see the Browns going with I could see them going with Pickett for week 1, just because I can see that. I can see them doing that. But I think the Saints might be more desperate. And they have a new head coach, and they picked him in the second round, 40th overall.
Right.
So that's who I would go with.
Where did Quinn Ewers end up? I saw it, but I couldn't.
Jackson, no, Miami.
He ended up Miami. Yeah, he's not starting there.
He's not starting Miami.
I don't think he was.
Maybe week 3 when the concussion. He'll be there. It's
to turn the ball over gets another.
Yeah, I'll get over there.
Yeah. All right. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts on Dillon with you being a Bears fan, Daren with I'm guessing you're still a Raiders fan.
Yes,
even though I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Niners fan now, Brandon. No, of course.
Yeah. Dillon, I'll start on your side of things. What's your thoughts on the Bears draft? I was surprised they took a tight end for us early on.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I heard a lot of there was a lot of fire behind Loveland. I heard a lot of people were trying to move up and grab him. I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I think we could have went somewhere else, but I'm not going to crucify it. He's a really good player. He can block. He can run. He's almost like a Brock Bowers type of player. You can move him outside. You know, he's pretty quick for a tight end. He's almost like one of those wide receiver tight ends. I think I would have rather went with an offensive line guy with the first pick overall. And I thought Cole Kmet probably did. I thought Cole Kmet is a pretty good tight end in my eyes. So I really don't know what that means for him. I don't know if we're going to trade him or if we're going to run like a double tight end set like how the Patriots did with Hernandez and Gronk back in the day before all that broke down. So I don't know. I'm not going to hate it, but I just think we could have went somewhere else. And then as far as the rest of the draft, I mean, we got some O-line guys. We got a running back. Got some defensive players. I think the steal for us, to be honest, I thought was Luther Burden.
Yes.
I thought that was a steal. He was considered by a lot of guys before this last year, before his quarterback got hurt 3 different times, and he had a drop in production. He was considered a first-round pick. And I think he has all the potential to be a great wide receiver. And if you pair it, if his potential lives up, you got Loveland, you got Kmet, you got DeAndre Swift, you got DJ Moore, you got Roma Dunze, and Luther Burden. Cool. I think that's a pretty solid wide receiver core, especially if they all – we know what DJ Moore can do. DeAndre Swift had over 1,000 yards last year, barely. But if Luther Burden and Roma Dunze could live up to their potential, I think that's probably one of the deadliest wide receiver cores in the NFL, to be honest.
You started seeing Rome kind of come together at the end of last season.
And then I want to hear nothing. And then I want to hear nothing from anyone saying, no more excuses for Williams, no more excuses for anybody. Yeah. Our offense should be solid. It should be 100% solid, especially with the new reformed offensive line that we got. We got the guy from Kansas City. We got a couple other guys. We drafted the dude from Boston College, Aze Trapilo. So our offensive line should be set. Wide receivers are set. We got a decent running back. No excuses. We should have a great offense.
Yeah. Yeah, you got quite a few picks here. That Luther Burden pick, by the way, was the final pick of the 2023 trade between Chicago and Carolina.
Yeah, so
it took that long for it to come to conclusion. Wrap around.
I thought it was a steal. I thought it was one of the biggest steals of the draft, to be honest, with how far he fell. So
I might just have to snag myself an orange Bears Luther Burden jersey.
Is the old Michigan's AD in the Bears office in the Bears front office right now? Is that actually a thing? That'd be funny if it was. I think Loveland was a good pick. I mean, I hear what you're saying with it. And tight ends are kind of iffy with that stuff, but
They are.
But when you have Williams as your pick the year before, you kind of want to just keep giving them weapons and stuff.
100%.
Like that,
You also had Tyler Warren there though too that they could have went with.
Hot take. I think Loveland overall as a tight end in every aspect, I think he might be a little better than Tyler Warren overall as a tight end. Overall, not wide receiver version of it. Tyler Warren's an insane guy who can catch the ball, but I think overall, like you had blocking and everything else, and I think he might just be a little bit better.
So Dylan, just to kind of help answer your question here, it's so Ben Johnson's offense is like to run a lot of 12 personnel, which is one running back, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends.
So
there you go.
Yeah, I thought the Bears I thought for the first time in a long time, I thought this was one of their best drafts. I really did. Usually they're like a Browns. They just make decisions that just aren't, you're just like, what are we doing? I don't know what we're doing.
They're trying to sell tickets so they can get the new stadium.
But I thought we actually made, instead of trying to sell tickets, I thought we actually made moves to actually better, like be a winning team. So
what happens when you get a coach who's been around in a winning culture for the last couple of years?
So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Or Jim. I mean, I think they would have been fine with Harbaugh last year too. He wanted to be in LA though. He didn't want to be in Chicago.
No.
Yeah. Any other thoughts for that? Nothing else. What would you grade it? I know you see so A, B, C, D.
I think it was an A for us. Okay. I think it was an A overall in every position. I think it was an A.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Daren, we'll talk about the Vegas rate. Ashton Genty, round 6, heck of a running back out of Boise State. What's your thoughts on the Raiders draft?
Yeah, I thought they made. I thought that was a good pick for them. Obviously, like I said, they needed that position. Blue chip guy, like I said at the beginning, and there's a good chance he's probably going to be heavy favorite to win Rookie of the Year because he's going to get so many touches.
100%.
You would think with Pete Carroll there. So I think that's just a good pick to go with Bowers as well. So you have these kind of cornerstones at these key positions. They obviously still need the receiver, but they do get Beck in the second round, who's a solid receiver from TCU.
Yeah.
So right there, pretty good pick as well. And then they got the corner Porter, who was rated pretty good by a lot of people as well out of Iowa State. So I would say between those 3 picks, and then there was a guy from William and Mary that you gets a lot of people talking about. I kind of thought he was kind of a steal. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say I believe he is, but I'm just kind of hearing through that. But I feel like the first 2 picks from the guys I really knew, that was a good pick. And then I did like Thornton when I did see him play a few times for Tennessee.
Yeah.
He's a speed guy, big target. So I thought they did good things. They got 2 wide receivers, they got a running back, and they also got a cornerback, which was one of their worst positions.
Mm-hmm.
Still need a linebacker, but they did address some big needs that they definitely needed. Their wide receiver core was pretty weak. So the fact that they got 2 there, and then they got the running back I would give them a B. I think they did good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they filled spots that they needed to fill, but there's still a lot that needs to be
no doubt
taken care of for the Raiders.
And we talked about on the 2 6-round picks. I mean, we'll see. Are those? I mean, it's a 6th round, so I mean, you're kind of taking chances anyways. But
right,
didn't really make some of those didn't make sense. But I think a B is fair for the first 4 picks that they had.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your QB situation? Like your starting QB, like do you think that's?
They drafted 2 quarterbacks also.
Yeah, listen, we're not talking about those.
No, it's AOC or the other guy. It's O'Connell's the backup, and Smith obviously is the starter. Like I said, I was over Carr when they had him. I think that's proven to be not the worst move in the world. Now they haven't won on the field either, but Carr, I thought he was getting paid too much for what the results he was giving. Yeah. And then, but Smith has shown he's gotten better. Mm-hmm. But I do think there's only, at best, right? Probably he's a 2nd-round quarterback playoffs wise. At best, you would think. Maybe there's a miracle that they can get him farther. Maybe there's a Rex Grossman miracle out there where he gets him to the Super Bowl or something like that. But you know what I mean? Like he's not that type of guy that's going to lead him. But hopefully he can maybe give them some stability, where they actually can maybe then when they do get a quarterback, that quarterback will have some weapons around them, some stability from the franchise.
Yeah,
that's always been the thing. They're just always changing their wheels all the time. That there's never any stability with them, and that's why they've sucked for the last 23 years. So we'll see if Smith can give them a little something for the last 2 years, and Pete Carroll, obviously, with the veteran coach. I trust him, and I trust that it'll help our defense. So we'll see what happens there.
I think they'll be all right with Pete for a few years till I don't know what they're going to do after that though.
I like that.
Tons of question marks around what.
They need a quarterback still. They still do. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's the position. I mean, we're like the Bears in that sense. We haven't had a quarterback in 23 years. And people say Carr, he was not fine. He was decent, but he wasn't like the guy where it was automatic and stuff like that. So I never. That's how I felt as somebody that went to a lot of games for a long time, and then is obviously when they moved to Vegas, it's kind of the same thing. So we'll see if they can change it up. That stability is huge for this team.
That's exactly how I feel, especially if I will definitely. I've been a Caleb Williams hater since day one. I have been. Can't lie about it. I cannot lie about it. But if he can play as good as he did this year, I will be 100%. A day one Caleb Williams lover. Our schedule this year is I don't know exactly how it goes in order, but these are just the teams. We have to play the Lions. So the home games are Lions, Green Bay, the Vikings, Dallas, New York, the Browns, the Steelers, the Saints, and away games are Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, the Ravens, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Washington, San Francisco, and the Raiders. Like that is not an easy schedule whatsoever.
No.
So If he can play well this year, I will 100% just be. I'll be okay with him.
Be on board.
100%. I will be. I'll take back everything I said about him.
All right, jump into the final thoughts of the show. I'll give you about 1 minute to give me your final thoughts on the show. I'll start with. Let's go with Daren.
Mel Kiper, are you still there? Mel, the gel, is it getting too thick over there? What's going on with him? He took a lot of heat. I thought that was kind of funny, the draft stuff with that. Again, my final thoughts are this. The draft coverage is insane. It just continues to be as I've gotten older, just how much this monopoly that the NFL does. I was a little bit of a hater of the thing switching the draft, but I've come around now on that. I do like the idea it goes city to city. And then the other big takeaway will be Sanders for me. It will be. Not saying he was the best player, but like just when you have somebody drop all time like that, let's see what he's made of. Let's see what his thing. And then I had thought Carter was going to be the best player in the draft, and I'm curious what the Giants will be next year. They get Dart at the quarterback, so those would be my final thoughts. Those are the things that stood out to me the most when I looked at the draft.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. 100%. My final thoughts. Like I said at the very beginning, I love that they switch it every year. I thought it was cool they brought to a place like Green Bay where, people are the owners. I like that. Everybody buys stock in it. I thought that was cool for those guys to be able to show up and see all that, live. I like how they switch it back and forth. And I think it's the same thing. I'm a big Sanders. I've been a big Sanders guy throughout the college shows. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to him dropping to round 5 when he was a first round, projection is insane. So we'll see how he does on the Browns. And then Daren took it right out of my mouth. A guy that we didn't mention, Jackson Dart. It's going to be interesting to see how the Giants are going to turn out and how they're going to be. I know they got Russell Wilson, but did you take Jackson Dart because he's a good quarterback, or did you take him because you have a lot of Ole Miss ties, right? Are you hoping for like another Eli Manning type of ordeal, like when Eli Manning was in his prime? Like, is he actually that good, or did you just take him because you felt like you had to take him because he's from Ole Miss?
Yeah.
So, I like it. I thought the draft was really good. I love that it's at a different place every year. The coverage of it is insane. You get to see the crowd, and everything's awesome. So,
that's where it is.
Love it. David, thanks for tuning in. I definitely appreciate you sticking around for the show. It's awesome that we get these kind of words and stuff. It makes all of us here feel a lot better, or it makes our confidence go up a little bit that we do a good job. My final thought, and I think I texted, it was one of you two. I was like, you know what? Like, the draft is way too stinking long. Way too stinking long. It doesn't need to be 3 hours long. You can get the whole round 1 in an hour and a half. I know you do it because of the money, because of the views. It's way too stinking long.
You pay for those commercials, all right? They got those commercial times.
Just like the Super Bowl.
3
You
hours.
you pay for 3 hours though for one round. Like it started at what 7:00, 8:30 rolled around. So let's pick 17 of the draft. Like, dude, okay, like we're almost 2 hours into this thing, and you're only on 17. Like
I don't. For me, it starts at 5 right when I get off work, and it ends at 8. So it's like for me on the West Coast time, I'm like it's crazy. You know what else I learned, Brandon? Don't do prank calls, people. Unbelievable. Do that. Yeah.
Did you guys see who it was?
Yeah.
The Falcons defensive coordinator's son, and then he made a video of it and he posted the video. Like, what are you doing?
They said he was home for the weekend or something like that, and he ran across an iPad with Sanders' number on it, and he's like, "I'm gonna make a prank call." Like, that's the first thing that came to his head. I'm gonna make a prank call.
Oh man.
And he would have never got caught, but instead he videotapes it and then they post it on the internet.
It gets you caught every time, man. Every time.
Just to get a few likes, I guess. That's
really what it was for. Daren, Dillon, thanks for jumping on, talk a little NFL draft here. Lots of other stuff going on. You got the fast break later on tonight, recapping NBA playoffs and all that other stuff going on across the league. 7th inning stretch, be back later this week as well. So make sure you tune into that. All kinds of other stuff going on as we prepare ourselves for the NFL season. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and we will catch you next time.